You hear it everywhere, right? The AI revolution. It feels like we are living through something totally new, something that's never happened before. But what if I told you we've been here before? Let's try putting on a historian's glasses to see what the past can tell us about our future with AI. So let's get right to the big question. Is this AI revolution really something the world has never ever seen? Is it a complete break from all of human history? I mean, the way everyone talks about it, you'd certainly think so. But if you look at it from a historical perspective, the answer is, well, no. This isn't some strange anomaly. It's actually a pattern we've seen before. What we're going through right now is what you could call the Third Great Unbinding. And thinking about it that way really helps make sense of this huge shift. Okay, so what in the world are these Great Unbindings? Let's break it down. Basically, they're these key moments in history where some new technology completely unshackled us from one of our biological limits. First, you had the Industrial Revolution. That's when we unbound our physical strength from our own muscles, right? We swapped out human and animal power for steam and coal. Then, number two, came the Information Revolution. That unbound communication from physical distance. No more waiting for couriers on horseback. We had cables and bits. And now we're in the third one, the AI revolution. And this one is unbounding our thinking, our cognition, from the slow pace of our biological brains. Understanding this pattern is just so crucial because it means the Industrial Revolution isn't just some dusty chapter in a history book, it's actually a blueprint. It gives us a model for figuring out the kinds of disruptions and, more importantly, the adaptations we're about to face. Which brings us to something called the Loom Effect. Think back to the Industrial Revolution. The mechanical loom came along and just destroyed the livelihood of the hand weaver. It caused a ton of pain in the short term, no question. But, and here's the twist, it also made cloth so incredibly cheap that demand went through the roof. This didn't just replace old jobs, it literally created brand new industries like fashion, retail, and logistics on a scale nobody could have imagined. And that exact same effect is playing out right now, today. But instead of manual tasks, it's happening to cognitive tasks. You could say the hand weavers of our time are people doing repetitive mental work, like basic coding, or data entry, or writing simple copy. AI is making those tasks practically free. But just like with the loom, when the cost of one thing crashes, it creates an explosion of demand for something else. So yeah, the market for rote intelligence might shrink, but the market for applied intelligence is about to boom. We're going to see a huge surge in new kinds of roles, jobs focused on system design, prompt engineering, and just creatively figuring out how to use these crazy powerful new tools. The job market is shifting, it's not just disappearing. And this points to a super important lesson from the past. Society didn't just sit back and let the Industrial Revolution happen to it. We actively redesigned our world to cope. We had to invent totally new social technologies, things we now take for granted, like labor unions, universal public education, and even the whole concept of the weekend. Technology alone wasn't enough. We had to change our society to fit the technology. So, this brings us to the future of work itself. If AI is going to handle all the repetitive stuff, the grunt work, what's left for us to do? Well, the answer means we have to completely rethink what makes a human valuable in the first place. It all boils down to this one massive change, a shift from execution to orchestration. Our value is no longer about doing the task ourselves. It's about directing a whole suite of powerful tools to get that task done better than we ever could alone. Okay, orchestration. What is that? The best way to think about it is like a movie director. A great director probably doesn't know how to operate the camera better than the cinematographer, right? Or compose music better than the composer. Their value, their genius, is in having the vision to pull all those specialized skills together into one single amazing film. That's the new human role in a world powered by AI. And this chart here shows just how big a change this really is. In the past, the hero was the specialist, the pin maker who knew one thing inside and out and could execute flawlessly. But in the future, the hero is the generalist conductor, the movie director, who is valued for their broad understanding, their judgment, and their ability to bring it all together. So, knowing this shift is coming is one thing, but history teaches us that technology always moves way, way faster than society does. So if we want to avoid the chaos and the inequality and the pain of past transitions, we have to be deliberate. We have to intentionally design our new world. And that historical blueprint suggests we need to focus on three big pillars. First,
Governance. We're going to need something like a digital New Deal to make sure the incredible efficiency gains from AI are shared fairly. Second, lifestyle. We have to, as a culture, separate our sense of self-worth from just grinding away at a job. And third, social fabric. As remote work becomes the default, we have to actively figure out how to rebuild local communities. And this whole redesign has to start with education. Our current system was literally built for the factory age. To create these conductors, we need a totally new curriculum. We've got to stop teaching students to just answer questions and start teaching them how to ask the right ones. We need to teach system dynamics, how everything connects. And subjects that used to be called soft skills, like ethics and philosophy, they become hard skills. They're the steering wheel for AI's incredibly powerful engine. And finally, in an age of deepfakes, we have to teach epistemology, the skill of knowing how to figure out what's true. That's a basic survival skill.
Okay, so you put all this together, and I know it can feel like a lot. It can feel pretty daunting, but there's another way to look at all this, a way that reframes this entire moment, not as a threat, but as an incredible opportunity. You know, a lot of the anxiety and the fear we see around AI comes from a really deep-seated psychological barrier. For the last 200 years or so, our culture has hammered this idea into us. Our identity is tied to our utility. You are what you do. So when a machine comes along that can do your job, what your brain hears is, you are now worthless. And that is exactly why the language we use matters so much. We have to rebrand this transition. We need to stop calling it AI replacement. We need to start calling it AI promotion. Because this isn't about being made obsolete. It's about being elevated to a new, more important, more strategic role. So what does this promotion actually look like in the real world? Well, you're not just a coder anymore. You're promoted to software architect, overseeing the entire design. You're not just a copywriter anymore. You're promoted to editor-in-chief, directing a whole team of AI writers to create a unified brand voice. See? It elevates your role and shifts your focus to a higher level of thinking. Ultimately, what's happening is we're moving from a world that valued the scarcity of a specific skill to a world that values the scarcity of vision. This transition is going to be challenging, absolutely, but it also allows us to finally stop working like machines and start working with them. The future isn't going to belong to the people who can just execute a task anymore. It's going to belong to the people who can imagine what's worth building in the first place.